And this is maybe a good idea. All those way up high guardian angels who are responsible for the Nature Conservancy are looking through the files and weighing their options. What this feels like is there is a lot of wear and tear on the body from the intervening guardian angels responsible for the same organization. And probably what would be a good idea right now for those guardian angels, if you don't want the periscope to show those way up high presences, the wear and tear you've put on the machinery. Today is Saturday, January 30th, 2021. Today we are working with the Lynn Life Collective with the intention to heal the root causes of a pattern of heart palpitations that's been ongoing for, I'm going to say, around 3 days, because upstairs there isn't a lot of argument with that time frame. And so that's the first thing. And we also have a pattern that has been increasing in intensity for a while now of immune system malfunction. I feel interest in that upstairs. And so there are opportunistic infections that are taking advantage of immune system malfunction. And then finally on the list we also have this pattern of long-term sleep deprivation that is getting it progressively more intense. And we're here today to heal the root causes of those symptoms and whatever they represent in such a way as to align the Lynn Life Collective with her destiny, which is a very, very big destiny. There we go. Now we're going to start softening our own energy body and starting to channel that really big energy body. There we go, softening our energy body and merging in all the way around the back. It's a very, very big energy body all the way around the back. Past the lower levels of the astrals, reach the normal opening process, but it just is not the kind of energy body that we normally work with, so a lot of those things are kind of redundant. But we can find this point of intersection way up at the very top of the Search for Truth pillar with these higher powers who are responsible for higher powers who are responsible for higher powers, maybe who are responsible for the higher powers affiliated with, I think it is the Nature Conservancy, that larger organization. And they seem to feel like they got a memo on their desk maybe this morning or last night that there was something somewhere down there that they needed to know about, but that's about all they're aware of. And so I'm going to try to give a brief report on my understanding and asking the Lynn Life if she's willing to add in the places or the points that I miss or I misspeak or that I have wrong. So merging in so they can feel that the Lynn Life is real, because their first thought is it's not possible for anybody of that size of a planet to have that large of an energy body. They're saying it's not possible, but it is, and it helps that there is a physical body that I can kind of connect to, at least in a way of this density, so you can feel I'm not making it up, I'm not trying to bamboozle you. There, and now it feels like they're peeking in a little more deeply. So here's why I think it's possible that we're being connected with you today is that the Lynn Life Collective has, through a series of kind of bizarre situations over the course of the past 30 years or so, the Lynn Life has become responsible for a small organization, and it seems possible that that small organization is soon to come under you might think of it as an umbrella of the Nature Conservancy. And then they feel calm upstairs, so merging in so you can feel she's real. So what I think we're seeing is it's possible that this pillar that the Lynn Life Collective is responsible for, this energy pillar, could become a periscope into the Nature Conservancy at a very deep level, because it feels like, and upstairs if I'm wrong please stop me, it feels like there are a lot of periscopes into lighter levels, higher levels of dimensions who are affiliated with the Nature Conservancy, but it doesn't feel like there's a periscope yet that reaches anywhere near down to where this is. This level of density, this kind of solidity. And so I'm wondering if way up there you might be interested in using this energy pillar as a periscope. But here's the trouble, is that the physical body there, I know you keep thinking it's not possible, but I don't think I would be able to merge into it through this physical body if it wasn't possible. The trouble is that this physical body has been harassed by a lot of out-of-body presences, and she has these symptoms that are damaging the body, so it isn't likely to last as long, and also in the short term making it harder to do the work that would lead to her being a really solid periscope for your organization, if that makes sense. So I think maybe what the point is that it looks like there's a really useful resource, or could be a useful resource for you upstairs as a periscope into the organization that you are responsible for, at a low enough level that there are a lot of intervening levels of guardian angels between her and you. And probably you could find a lot of their faults by looking through the periscope of the Lynn Life, and probably that would absolve you of some of the bad karma affiliated with their mistakes. You can pin it soundly on them and not have it splash on you up there where you are. So maybe what we're looking at here is the potential for a secret weapon. But at the moment, the secret weapon has been not well treated by guardian angels, and it doesn't feel like that's been your responsibility up until this point, and so I hope that didn't come across as disrespectful. But can you feel the heart? We're going to merge in really deeply, because that feels like something that there's interest in upstairs. So we're going to merge in, especially into that heart. Really zoom into the way it feels. Really not good. There's a flutter, and there's a kind of sluggish feeling in the base, and there's this feeling of when gears of a machine aren't fitting right and they kind of clack on each other. And so showing it to them, and again, I promise I'm not making her up. She's as dense as I am, so there we go. And then showing it to them. And then in the other hand, we can show them, it's kind of like the capacity, the measurement of the possibility for periscope. which just feels like it's unheard of at this density, but it's real because I can merge into it. There you go. And so here are the problems in one hand, and here is the capacity for use to you. And I'm not telling you what you want, but if the capacity for use to you is larger than the small repairs, small for you, repairs that would need to be made upstairs, and I'm going to ask if maybe you're willing to consider taking out the root causes of the problems that are making it difficult for the life to be a periscope, so that she can be a really useful periscope to you into that organization that you are responsible for, into that organization that it actually does feel like you really love, which is nice, you know. There, and what it feels kind of like is like we're in a used car lot, and those way up there guardian angels have been walking around looking at used cars. And then we come around the back of the building, and there's like a spaceship in the back of the used car lot. And they had been looking at used cars, and now suddenly there's a spaceship that has like a for sale tag, like it's another used car. And now they're kind of adjusting their search criteria to include the fact that a spaceship is on the table. There we go, so merging in. And now they're kind of feeling around registration, and they feel the big soul plan in the back. And they're saying basically, well, this feels like a soul plan to stop the destruction in a fair and just way. This is an enormous soul plan, and will this distract her from being a good periscope into the organization that we're responsible for? I really don't think so, because it seems like the big soul plan fits very nicely with what the Lynn Life Collective would be doing for the organization. It feels like it is a perfect fit, actually. And now maybe what we do while they think about it is we merge in really deeply, and we start to send up some of the information that the Lynn Life has already accumulated that is very relevant to the organization that these angels are responsible for. Because we can feel in this energy body like a wealth of information already, and she doesn't even work for their organization. Like, this is almost just tangential information by being very curious and very hardworking in similar fields for a number of years. And so we can merge in really deeply to this great big energy body. And we can feel vibrationally, and again, we're not trying to manipulate anybody upstairs, but we can feel vibrationally information that might be useful to them. And we're not going to remove it from this energy body because that feels like a bad idea, but we can send up copies, prints of this information that might be useful to you from down here, from this density, really merging in, and we can send it up to that room, way up there, through those intervening rooms, higher, 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 there we go, popping open into that room, and we can send that information up, there we go. We can send that information all the way up to them. And a lot of it feels like very basic information, like where their headquarters are, or who the head of the organization is. It feels like very basic things that up there, it's so far up that they don't have a frame of reference for them. So sending that information up. There we go. And now merging in, especially into that heart where the palpitations are. And this is maybe a good idea. All those way up high guardian angels who are responsible for the Nature Conservancy are looking through the files and weighing their options. What this feels like is there is a lot of wear and tear on the body from the intervening guardian angels responsible for the same organization. And probably what would be a good idea right now for those guardian angels, if you don't want the periscope to show those way up high presences, the wear and tear you've put on the machinery, it might be a good idea to do something, take some kind of action to reverse the wear and tear in such a way that it's actually able to be felt in the physical body. Otherwise, just through the normal periscoping actions, it's possible you're not going to come across very well to the big guys who are up there in that meeting room looking through the files right now. So this might be a good time. And there's no judgment, there's no angry feelings, and you can feel the Lynn Life Collective isn't mad. There's no resentment, there's no anger in the body, in the life. But this would be a really good time to start to remove the wear and tear from the body if to come off as an abuser or an exploiter to the presences bigger than you, especially because karmic dumping is a reality, especially in organizations like yours where there's a clear chain of command. And I think it's likely that any kind of bad things that have happened on your watch is going to land on you, not on those big guys upstairs. I don't think any of them are going to say, no, why don't you give me that bad karma and I'll process it. I just don't see that happening based on how other people react. So we're going to merge in really deeply, especially into that heart, because that's a mechanical feeling. There we go, and reaching up this pillar associated with that organization. And I can hear you, a lot of presences saying, well, there. So really merging into the heart, really feeling that heart. And stretching that pillar way up through all those rooms until we can poke up with those presences who have been looking for a periscope, or at least said they had been looking for a periscope, and reaching the pillar up high enough that we can at least get through to their supervisors, so there is a clear tunnel for the oversight. So here's a thought that hasn't been put on the table yet. To those way up high guardian angels who are responsible for the Nature Conservancy, are still going over paperwork and talking about other options. It's possible that something you haven't been considering, and really merging in so you can feel it's real in this density. Something that maybe you haven't been considering is that there is another organization that it feels like you're very familiar with, who does work quite similar to yours. It's the Sierra Club, guardian angels at your level and in all the intervening levels. Club has also expressed interest in the portal that's attached to this physical form, to the Lynn Life Collective. And we know that because they've sent messages in for presences. I think the lead human of that organization, the leader of that organization, has had messages land solidly in this physical body right here. But the point being that means that those guardian angels for the Sierra Club are aware that this portal exists, and also feel aware that it's a spaceship and not a car, feel aware that the capability is actually what it appears to be, and you can feel in the merge. And so maybe if you don't want this portal, maybe we can go to the Sierra Club guardian angels, and I mean it very sincerely, and ask them if they would like to use the portal. Because we've already shown you by sending up copies that the portal itself has a lot of awareness of proper organizational structure and conservation methods and useful patterns. There we go. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the Sierra Club might find a lot of use for a presence that has so much conscious awareness and also supernatural energy reach. And I use the term supernatural in reference to how it's just so much more than seems possible in this density. And the Sierra Club has already obviously expressed interest through physical symptom, and so if you don't want it, we can go to those angels to repair the damage done to the spaceship, repair the damage done to the portal, repair the damage done to the actual physical body that houses the periscope. It's like a telescope housing. You know how the telescope is not terribly big, but there are the shells built around it. And we can take that to them, and maybe they'll be willing to repair it, and then they will have that resource, and you will not have it. And that's maybe something to think about. I feel motion in the room of the Nature Conservancy and a straightening of the pillar. But I also still feel the tachycardia in the heart when I merge in. I don't think the deal is done until at least the tachycardia goes away. I don't think it works like that. I think that's like how you would pay for the spaceship, is by taking away the damage so that it can function, so that you can have a working spaceship. So really merging in and really merging in so they can tell it's real. Connecting up to that room with the Rainforest Alliance Guardian Angels goes. And showing them that we have here effective periscope with a density of ground zero. And the periscope not only has a huge amount of interdimensional reach, but also a lot of conscious mind awareness. There we go, that could be useful to you. There we go, so she's a periscope in multifaceted ways. There we go, and right now the periscope has been damaged. We have manifesting issues of tachycardia, heart troubles, very real, ongoing heart troubles. And we've had continual tachycardia, continual heart palpitations for at least 3 days. And we also have immune system malfunction, immune system breakdown. And we also have firm pattern now of sleep deprivation that is getting increasingly worse. And those are the malfunctions. And then we also have this incredible capability, this capability to be able to see what's happening down here in ground zero planet Earth and report it accurately and clearly and with very little effort on your part upstairs. And if just a little bit of repair work is done, you can have a really high-powered periscope for almost nothing, for almost no price to you. It just needs to have these physical problems fixed, or it won't last very long, and that would be sad for you. Is it not supposed to last long? Nobody wants to talk about that. The Rainforest Alliance people are interested. Feels like is that the Nature Conservancy gets resources offered to them a lot, and the Rainforest Alliance people, they don't get a lot of offers interdimensionally. People aren't trying to pay them off as much, maybe, I don't know. But that's interest. And we can hold that interest and we can kind of show it with a mirror to the Nature Conservancy angels, shining so it's reflecting so they can see into that other room without breaking through interdimensionally in a way that would be really inappropriate, so that they can see that the Rainforest Alliance guardian angels are really interested and feel like this would be a really, really, really good thing, and they don't like the idea of blowing the opportunity, maybe, to see so far down into a place they claim very much to care about. And we're just going to hand that image over to those Nature Conservancy angels. Here's an important point also for those guardian angels who are responsible for the Nature Conservancy, and to the big ones responsible for the Rainforest Alliance. We're going to thank you very much for your interest, and we're going to let you keep looking through the paperwork. And we're excited to have that conversation going with you. But now we're going to move the top of the pillar back toward the presences responsible for the Nature Conservancy. Because here's something else that you might not know, is that there are smaller, more local conservancy organizations who might also be interested in the resources that the Lynn Life Collective represents. But the thing is, if we do that deal with them, then they will have that resource and you will not have it, and there aren't any other spaceships. And so they will have the spaceship. Those little dinky people whose names you've never even heard of will have that spaceship. And that might look less cool for you, because you will not have a spaceship. And if I knew another spaceship, I would probably bring it up, but this is the only one I know. And you would still be dinking along with rental cars, that used rental cars. That's what they're talking about, people when they buy used rental cars. Which I guess is a good metaphor for psychic people. They are kind of like rental cars, and sometimes you can buy a used one. And then that little organization, a Florida-based, quite small organization, would have the spaceship. And you would have a used rental car, at best. And that's something to think about, but something to think about in the context of the symptoms that are showing up in the body. That's something. And we can take the energetic imprint in time of all of the interactions with all of the guardian angels of various organizations that have occurred during the span of this healing session. We can take the records of those conversations and we can send them up to even higher guardian angels group up there who might be responsible for conservation efforts on planet Earth or something of that magnitude. And we can send them up to that level of guardian angels because they have no idea who we are, and we're going to send up all the records of all these conversations, kind of just like journalism, to those way up high guardian angels responsible for conservation, maybe on a planetary scale. And just send it up to them with no clutch and no ulterior motives, no weirdness. But there might be things in those conversations that will help them make whatever kinds of decisions they're trying to make. Conversations up to that much higher dimension room. There we go. Now starting to correct my own mistakes. There we go, because at the very least when I walk away from this healing session, I'd like to not leave behind a whole big pile of errors that I've made. And including the omissions, everything left out, at least vibrationally including it, so everything that was supposed to be said was said, and everything that was supposed to be done was, we didn't leave any doors unexplored. There we go, in the way that they were meant to be explored. There, and now wrapping the work, sealing up the work that's been done, so nobody can come back in after the fact and mess it up without it looking really, really bad for them. Sighting up through that hole in the sky, and we're going to try a big room of guardian angels who might be responsible for conservation on a planetary level, and really including in that wrapping the imprint of the symptoms. There. Now we're going to send it up. Would it be possible for those really high presences where the Lynn Life Collective is way down here, if they want to, if that's something they would be interested in? There we go. Now reaching out the top of the vertical pillar of the energy body and starting to pulsing the toroid of energy up as high as we're able to get it right now, and starting to send up the question, outside the black hole of corruption that planet Earth seems to be inside of, has the soul planned to be responsible for planet Earth? And first merging the energy really solidly so they can feel that it's real and we're not messing with them, that we're actually here on planet Earth. And it still feels like they think we're pranking them or we're making some kind of joke. So I can really show you out these eyes, using these eyes as the periscope. I can see out a window and I can see ground and trees and buildings. How else can we prove that we're really here? Well, Baxter's right here, and he's living and breathing, and he's not a part of this body. If you are the ones who have the soul plan to be responsible for planet Earth, which I think is great, then what do we do now? And what I can show you is we have a symptom in a physical body, which obviously is indicative of bigger problems in the grander scheme of things, but it might be a good way to help explain what's going on down here. This life, the one that I'm touching, the Lynn life, has been exhibiting this pattern in overnights, which are when these bodies are supposed to sleep because we're diurnal. In the overnights when the body is supposed to be sleeping, the sleep is being disrupted, and sometimes literally with phenomena like muscle cramps, or presences creating what sounds like wake-up call sounds or other sounds in this dimension, but they create them from other dimensions. But there's this disrupted sleeping pattern that's been going on in the Lynn life for a while, long enough that it's really hard for me to feel the start at a quick grab in time. And that's kind of the jumping off point that we're using to get in touch with you today. What has worked on other planets inside of black holes of corruption to open the portal to higher vibrations? They're not closing the portal.
Mm-mm.
It almost feels like they just want to watch and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And what this feeling could be, and I might be misunderstanding the feeling, is how sometimes when we connect with these presences really, really way up high, is they want to think that from inside of a dimension it's possible for presences to do really big things, like turn the whole thing inside out, is kind of the feeling.
I don't think that's possible.
And I don't think that's possible, and I can show you, and this may be as helpful, I can show you what happens when I try to do that, because I'm super up for trying that. And so I can try it to reach down to the center of the dimension and grab a hold, but you see how it's like my hand, it doesn't work like that.